Who you surround yourself with, you become. Now, a lot of us who are older probably have heard this phrase at some point in our life. Usually it's when we're kids and we start to have friends that our parents might not like. A lot of times these are kids that, your parents just might not like directly. Maybe your parents don't like their parents. Or maybe these kids are genuinely bad kids. They show bad behavior. And when I was a kid, I definitely had those friends. And going forward into high school, I had a lot of different groups of friends, right? So I didn't hang out with strictly one group, and I always just tried to spend my time with a bunch of different people. Now, I had one group of friends in particular who their philosophy was, if we don't rip on you, then you're not our friend. And I hated that, right? There is actually a guy culture. I don't know if girls do this, but there's a guy culture here in America, and I presume in the other parts of Europe too, maybe even South America, that it's, you just rip on people, and those aren't your friends. Like, I remember distinctly when they would call on my cell phone and I'd see their name show up. Like, I knew immediately if I picked up I would be called a derogatory name, and that they would probably leave a voicemail and call me that name anyway, so you couldn't get away from it unless you just didn't have them call you. It's like I saw the name and I knew if I picked up it'd be like, hey bitch, hey faggot, hey motherfucker, and it's like, it gets old. It's like, really, like, come on, I don't even want to pick up your phone. Like, I don't want to hang out with you. Because the thing is, that group of friends, and it's not even just my friends, it would be anybody's friends, a group like that will always try to outdo themselves in terms of ripping on people. So, you might prank a friend and then you want to keep pranking them. You want to keep moving forward. It gets to the point where if you have a tragedy in your life, those people are not going to be the ones around. Like, they're probably going to be the ones to laugh at you. And the shit's not funny. Like, you get hit by a car, and these friends, that, like, if they come and see you even, right, they would just laugh at you. Like, oh, look at this dumbass, right? They'd say stuff like that. Those people aren't your friends, okay? You don't want to be around those people. And you can just guess where those people end up. Like, that group of friends of mine, I'm not in contact with a lot of them, but you can guess where they are now in life. Now, I have another group of friends. Like, typically in high school, you're not going to keep in contact with majority of people that you know. I think I keep in contact with maybe like 3 people. And those 3 people that I've kept in touch with over, more than a decade now, they're doing very well. And, in general, they're positive. I mean, there are some times where we make jokes on each other, but it doesn't go that far, as in when I see your name on my phone, I know you're gonna call me a stupid name. Like, it doesn't go that way. And that's one kind of relationship that you have, is friendship. Now, every single day I learn more about different relationships that you can have. The relationship that I have with my real life friends versus the people who subscribe to me on YouTube, the intersection between those people is actually really small. I can actually count on probably one hand how many people that I know in real life that watch my videos that are my friends. And that's fine, right? And the relationships are different. I'm pretty sure if I met some of you guys in person, we could probably be friends. But the thing is that I've known my real life friends since the 90s, since the early 2000s, right? We're looking at, 20 years. And some of you guys I would probably have just met, right? If I even do meet you. So it's like I already have, the established friendships from a longer time, and then I have people who have known me on YouTube. I've only been on the site for about a year now. Now, the thing is, you can see that the saying, you become who you surround yourself with, is very true even on YouTube, because there are certain YouTubers who have a really negative attitude, and all of their content is based on ripping on other people, and you go to their comments section, and if they're bigger, then they don't really respond, but the comments section is just, it's terrible, right? It's the same attitude that rubbed off from the creator onto the people that watch him or her. And you just look at it and it's like, really, if all you do is look for content that is negative, chances are it's going to rub off on you and you're going to become a negative person. Now, that's another type of relationship. Now, what about in business, right? Now, if you're younger, you might not care so much about work, but when you're older, you might know, right? If you get in with the people who are successful, right? Those people who have, went from being cashier to the store manager, right? If you're friends with that person, you might want to think like, hey, what did this guy do to become store manager from a cashier? Or in my situation, right, how does somebody go from, being a sales rep all the way to being senior vice president, or being from nobody to being somebody who everybody listens to, right? How do you become one of those people? And for me, I'm lucky because I have a lot of friends who are in very, very high places, right? And these are it still blows my mind that I could have senior leadership at a corporation be somebody who even texts me in the morning to say, hey, Bernard, how's it going, right? That blows my mind, right? And to see the kind of attitudes and habits that they exhibit and they live every single day, right? When they tell you, I do what needs to be done, and I always ask myself the question, why not? That rubs off on you because you think about, well, this person made it to a certain point. Why not, right? The way that they think starts to rub off on you, right? And, when you're doing your work, you're doing something, you're working on something really hard, and, you didn't do something because, you were scared to or something. Their thought process comes into your head. And, if they always ask, why not? Why didn't you do it? That seeps into your mind, and it's one of those things that when you didn't do it, you're like, well, why didn't I do it? Why not? It's one of those things that changes your habits. When I was in college, I had a roommate, and I lived with him for 3 years. This would be my sophomore all the way into senior year of college. I lived in the dorms, but we had apartment-style dorms, and he was a good guy. I really wish I had spent more time with him, but in college, I was so deep into powerlifting and a straight A student in engineering. It was one of those things that, I woke up every morning at like 6:30 and I just needed to go to the gym to do my cardio because I would be back at the gym later that day to, train and lift weights because I needed to get ready for my competition coming up. It rubbed off on him because when I lost a whole bunch of weight and I was dieting, he watched me. He watched every single thing I did, all the way from cooking chicken for the entire week, right, on a Sunday. He would watch what I did and he would follow it. It was actually kind of strange to see because it was the spring semester that I lost all of the weight, and then that summer he was texting me. He lived in Orlando, and he would text me, say, Bernard, I'm working on losing this weight. I want to try to do what you did, right? I'm waking up at 6:30 in the morning so that I can do my cardio. I'm going to the gym twice a day, 13 times a week. I've built up my body to do that. I even put the pan on the stove so that I can cook my eggs. I just hop out of bed and turn on the stove and I can start cooking my eggs that way. When I need to get ready for cardio, the shoes are already right next to my bed. My bag is already packed so that all I have to do is throw on my shoes, grab the bag, and I'm out the door, literally within 30 seconds of me waking up. Those are the kinds of habits that I did, and it rubbed off on him. Now, a lot of times people will think like, one person rubs off on another, but what about the other way around? It's, in business and in school, we talk about never burn a bridge, right? But what about when somebody burns a bridge with you? It's bad on them. It's not one directional. A lot of times people will feel sad like, oh my God, I feel like I, did myself a disservice because I really upset somebody and, it's not coming back. That's not true because they can burn the bridge with you as much as you can burn the bridge with them. I can rub off on somebody as much as somebody rubs off on me. So the statement that you become who you surround yourself with is only 50% true because you rub off on other people as well. It's not like you're not your own person. Now, some people inherently are not their own person. They believe everything that they're told. They do things that other people do only to be a part of a group. That's actually a lot of people. And what I've noticed is that a lot of the things that I do, a lot of the people around me will want to do it too. And I live a life of solitude. I spend a lot of time by myself. I live by myself. I prefer it that way. I always feel like there's more work to get done and that there's something that I can do about it. And if it's something that I can do on my own and I can show my friends later, a lot of times my friends will say, hey, what Bernard's doing is really cool. I want to try that, right? There was a period of time in my life after college where I was getting into programming a lot, and I was making, these little programs that would help out, make things a lot easier for you, even if it was just to do things like organize your music collection. And a lot of my friends were like, oh, Bernard's getting into programming. Like, how do I get into programming? What do I need to do? What are the things that I need, the resources to get started? And, this wasn't just a few people. This was a lot of people that, either were close friends or were acquaintances of mine. Now, not everybody got into programming. Some other people thought, well, that's never going to be my real job, and I can always have somebody else do it. Maybe Bernard can do it. And, it doesn't rub off on everybody, but don't always think that it's one directional, that you're going to become the person that's next to you, that you can also rub off on somebody else, and that your habits, if it's something that people like, something that people want, it might be something that they'll want to try to emulate. So that's why I always try to say, have a positive attitude. A lot of times, like I remember when I was in school, there was one girl who was just nasty all the time, but she just had a negative attitude on everything. She had one of the best jobs that you can get as a student, paid half tuition, and gave her like a $1,500 monthly stipend. You never hear about that stuff here in America, but she had that job, and all she did was complain about it, right? And it's like, look, okay, out of the 240 people in our class, people would kill for that job. And here you are complaining about the fact that you need to wake up at 5:30 in the morning. That's crazy. Like, you have half of your tuition paid for, and you're getting $1,500 a month after taxes. No one has ever heard of that. But it was the negativity that was behind it that kind of pushed people away from her. And she was doing it, and she didn't know about it. Whereas there was some other students that had really positive attitudes, saying that, the job isn't perfect, but oh man, I love being there. And, at the hospital, we're really making an impact on patients. That kind of thing draws people towards them, and negative attitudes push people away. That's my thoughts on this. And, for me, I don't surround myself with a lot of people, but the people that I surround myself with are handpicked by me, and these are people that I would like to get closer to, mainly just because what they do, what they live and breathe and embody are things that attract me very much. So with that being said, thanks so much for hanging out with me this weekend, and hit the subscribe button if you'd like to see more. I do this every weekend, but thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Adios. If I surround myself with Latinas, do I become Latina?